A City of Sadness is a 1989 Taiwanese historical drama directed by Ho Xiaosen. Ho Xiaosen is a Chinese-born Taiwanese director and a leading figure in the new wave cinema movement. He's got 18 feature films, and we actually saw one in class, A Time to Live and A Time to Die. A City of Sadness was the first film in Taiwan to win recognition at a major European film festival, and it was the number one movie in both Taiwan and Hong Kong upon release. In this video, I will focus on the cinematographic techniques that Ho Xiaosen uses to paint a picture of violence yet static shots of A City of Sadness. The first topic I want to talk about is during the long take with static shots. Static shots are camera shots that are devoid of any camera movement. In A City of Sadness, there are 222 shots in total with a running time of 158 minutes. This puts the average shot length at around 43 seconds, and as you can see, there are a lot of repetitions in locations. With axes such as in the shrine room, the bar hallway, the street markets, the light table and hallway, the dinner table, and the hospital entrance taking up so many of them. However, regardless of the amount of long takes, each one has its own specialty. Some of the long takes may, for example, focus on one subject, such as Wen Qing when he takes a picture. Other ones may show the entire dinner table where there's no primary main character. This sequence of long takes even translates to violence, such as the scene where the citizens get ambushed. Any normal audience member would expect a fight scene to be fresh, full of cuts, a lot of scenes, and a lot of different camera angles. However, Ho Xiaosen takes an authentic approach to this. Instead, we see that this entire scene only features two long takes from the exact same axis. Moving on to the portrayal of violence in A City of Sadness, we can see that initially, in violent scenes in the first one, we can see a static shot in the dark where violence is masked. Nobody sees it happening except one person within the scene. However, as we move on to the next few scenes, we can see that violence begins to happen in broad daylight. We can also see that the static shots are no longer static. We can see basic camera movements, like panning, for example, in this scene. Additionally, we can see that as it progresses, the violence becomes larger and more daring. We can see that people have violence in broad daylight and they're not afraid to persecute those that they think are Japanese sympathizers. Now I want to talk a bit more about the injustice in A City of Sadness. When most of us think about incarceration scenes, we think about the character being in extreme agony and accepting and refusing to accept their fate. However, in A City of Sadness, this is not the case. Most of the violence, when it comes to execution, is off camera, and Wenqing can't even hear it. When a few people are dragged away to be killed, Wenqing stays silent. He doesn't hear anything. He doesn't see anything. This is an antithesis to how Hong Kong cinema is usually portrayed. We usually see injustice up front, and the antagonist being a direct opponent to our anti hero. However, in this case, we don't see any of that. Let's talk about intimacy in A City of Sadness. In direct contrast to violence and injustice, we can see the intimacy up close. And we can see that Ho Xiaosen really wants us to focus on intimacy for these static shots. In all these shots and in most shots that bear intimacy, it is only Wenqing and his wife, Hiromi. We sometimes see the son, but it's usually between them two. And we can see that these static shots emphasize just how important these two characters are. And it shows that although the February 28th incident is a big horoscope in this movie, we don't see it happening. We see it off in a distance. And while it is happening, we can see these two characters make up and marry. Now let's talk a little bit about the representation of the 228 incident in the film. The 228 incident was an anti-government uprising in Taiwan where there was a violent suppression by the Kuomintang. In the movie, we don't see a lot about the 228. We see a little bit about the oppression and we see a little bit about the Kuomintang soldiers. However, we can see this mostly in the effects that it has on the main character. We can see this accumulation of stress build up when Wenqing offers to support Hiro's resistance group against the Kuomintang. However, Hiro refuses and tells Wenqing to go marry Hiromi, who loves him. This causes him a lot of stress, and as a result, he collapses. Overall, this film blew my expectations away. It was the first film to dare to address the political situation openly through a public medium. Previously, no one outside of Taiwan knew what the 228 incident was, and it was really kept under the covers. It was brilliant for Ho Xiaosen to represent the 228 incident as a lyric other than a documentary film. Even though all these impulses, paradoxes, and conflicts and ambiguity make A City of Sadness a very confusing and complex multi-layered film, I believe that it's still worth the watch for anyone that's interested in Taiwan's history and significance. This is why A City of Sadness still stands as a testament to Taiwan's bravery today and their oppression in the past.